whereas Khaled's been in prison 6 times as long, 295 days, also without charges. Number 2, the weather. When we were arrested in mid-August, the temperature was a sweltering 37 degrees, tolerable only because we had a ceiling fan. In Cairo today, the temperature is also 37 degrees, and Khaled has no ceiling fan. We weren't allowed shoes, which was fine. We were glad to be barefoot, glad the prison scrubs were made of light cotton. Then it was more comfortable to sleep on the cool concrete despite the ants and cockroaches. By October, we started to feel the cold at night, and our cellmates shared their blankets. Khaled is in solitary and has had to endure a harsh Cairo winter without heating, without socks and sweaters, without adequate blankets. Number 3, conditions. We were in a cell with 36 other men, sardines in a 10-meter by 3-meter can, marinating in sweat. Insanely crowded, it's true, but at least we had the kindness and conversation and company of our fellow prisoners, ordinary Egyptians who'd likewise been caught up in the August 16th roundup. Khaled has been in solitary for 295 days, and solitary is universally recognized as the most psychologically and physically damaging of detentions. We had a tap in a sawed-off Fanta bottle for showers. I'm not sure what Mohammed's got, if he's got a tap or just a bucket. Khaled has a bucket. Number 4, kids. There's kids here today, including Khaled's kids. My daughters are in their mid-teens, and with the help of their moms and extended family, were able to process and endure what was happening with Tariq and I. For Amina, for Fatima, for Abdulrahim and Tahrir, I can't even start to guess how they're coping with this cruel 10-month separation from their father. Number 4, unfounded accusations. On the day of our arrest, the police videotaped Tariq and I with a so-called Syrian terrorist, claiming for the TV audience that we were, quote, members of an international terrorist conspiracy. 3 weeks later, we were reunited with the Syrian guy in the exercise yard. It turned out he's an Egyptian grade 3 teacher, a soft-spoken man whose mother happens to be Syrian. That's how desperate the army was, claiming a Canadian doctor, an experimental filmmaker, and an Egyptian grade school teacher as jihadists. We've seen the same sort of desperation this week at the trial of fellow Canadian Mohamed Fahmy, where the prosecution played an interview by Fahmy about sheep farming as proof of his collaboration with terrorists. Even more desperate was the so-called video claiming there was a Marriott terrorist cell broadcast by the prosecutor on national TV, where innocent footage of Mohammed and his laptop were made ominous by adding the scary soundtrack from Thor: The Dark World. That's how desperate the prosecutor is. Fahmy has had to endure the surreal absurdities of this kangaroo court, but at least his case is going forward. In Khaled's case, his detention without charges is indefinite, like ours was, and in that way more reminiscent of the hundreds of immigration detainees held without charges in Lindsay, Ontario, down the road. Number 5. John Baird spoke out for our release, and it did make a difference. In Khaled's case, his shameful silence continues to be an outrage. Last week he was in Cairo having cozy meetings, snuggling up to Sisi's military dictatorship. What he should have been doing, of course, was going down the road to Tora prison to investigate the conditions that Khaled and the other prisoners are forced to endure. I join with Sarah today in calling on the Canadian government to speak out on Khaled's case and demand justice for and immediate release for Khaled. Thank you.